Welcome to Patent Pod Chat with noted inventor and patent attorney Chris Maiorana. Each week, Chris answers your questions on patents, trademarks, and inventions. Now, here's Chris Maiorana.
Chris, what is a software patent?
A software patent is a patent that gets granted on a software invention. I know that sounds broad, but in general, if there's software code that runs on a microprocessor and the invention is new, useful, not obvious, then we can likely get a software patent to issue on that.
So I've heard software patents are banned under some new Supreme Court cases. Did I hear correctly?
There is a lot of talk about the new Supreme Court cases. The case people have been talking about for the last couple of years is this Alice. It's a recent case that the Supreme Court came out with a two-part test for patent eligibility. They actually came out clearly and stated that we're not banning software patents at all. We're just making this two-part test, but it really put some shockwaves to the patent office. And there's a lot of follow-up cases and discussion and guidelines on this Alice Supreme Court case. But in the end, I think it's a good case that is going to help get rid of super broad software patents. And I don't think it's going to really hurt legitimate software patents that are that should be allowed.
Oh, okay, I see. Now, the other thing that I heard is that software patents are not allowed in Europe.
In general, they're a lot tougher to get in Europe. Some associates will say they just can't get you any coverage at all. The European Patent Office is a lot tougher. They still do have standards that if you meet those, you can get some coverage in Europe. But what's happened more recently is we work with a bunch of other attorneys throughout the world. So we have associates in Europe, and they're tending to refer the cases to us and telling their clients, it's going to be tough in Europe, but you could probably get a claim in the U.S. And if you call Chris at Maiorana PC, then that's our preferred associate to work with. He's done good work for us before, so we've been getting referrals that way, which is good.
Okay, so smartphone apps, can you patent those?
In the right circumstances, you could. Yes, you could. You still have the novelty requirements that you have to meet.
So what are novelty requirements?
I ran by a little bit quick above, but any claim that's going to grant as a patent has to be new, useful, and not obvious.
Oh, okay. All
so
right.
The new part of it is that no one else has done this before. Useful is kind of an overbroad term that they use, that they don't want people patenting illegal kind of things. They would say that's not useful maybe to society. That's not used as much, but the not obvious is an important criteria that usually comes up under 35 U.S.C. 103 that relates to obviousness, and that's where the Patent Office combines two references together and says that if someone skilled in the art had those two references in hand, it would be obvious to combine them. But that's a big part of what we argue against with the Patent Office when you get into prosecution. So even though we're going to deal with software patents, they still do have the same criteria for new, useful, not obvious.
Okay, now besides certain phone apps, what types of software are patentable?
Yeah, the more society gets rolling, there's a lot of software that's out there. So you're going to have firmware in a product, so that's going to be embedded on a chip that's made as a one-time software code on the chip. So there's a lot of talk with these flying cameras or drones, they call them. So they're people are flying those, and there's all these little tricks and things that they do. Like a drone will have a mode where it follows you around, so you don't have to pilot it while it's doing that. So, now that's out there, that's not going to be new to try to patent that feature. But 10 years ago, maybe that was new and nobody did it, and that's what a patent claim could be directed to. So there's also a lot of control software. There's a lot of talk about the smart home that's out there. The Internet of Things is another hot idea that somewhat relates to the smart home. So each of those Internet of Things ideas could be subject of a patent claim. So there's plenty of software patents that relate to a lot of these things.
Thank you for listening to Patent Podcast with noted inventor and patent attorney Chris Maiorana. Join us next time as Chris answers your questions on patents, trademarks, and inventions.